If you have to chase his time, beg for his attention, or constantly prove your worth, you're not a priority, you're a placeholder. And the moment you stop auditioning for someone else's love and start showing up like you already know your value, everything changes. Because being a priority doesn't come from being louder, prettier, or more available. It comes from knowing that you don't compete where you don't belong. When someone knows their value, they show up differently in every room they walk into. That internal sense of worth creates a quiet confidence that doesn't beg, doesn't chase, and doesn't settle. There's a presence that comes with truly valuing yourself, one that speaks louder than words. People can feel it. It's in the way you talk, the way you walk, the way you carry yourself when nobody is watching. It's in your tone, your eyes, and even your silence. It doesn't scream for attention, it simply commands it. This isn't about arrogance or acting like you're better than anyone else. It's about recognizing your own needs, honoring your standards, and being deeply connected to what you truly deserve. Many people are taught to prioritize the feelings of others to the point of abandoning themselves. They stay in conversations where they're not heard, in relationships where they're not appreciated, in cycles that leave them depleted. Not because they want to, but because deep down they fear that if they walk away, nothing better will come. That fear becomes a trap. It keeps them tied to situations that constantly reinforce the idea that they are an option, not a priority. When someone truly values themselves, they break that cycle. They stop negotiating their self-worth based on someone else's behavior. They stop giving repeated access to those who misuse their time and energy. They start treating their own heart like something sacred, not something to be handed over casually. Every time they choose to walk away from a situation that doesn't serve them, they reinforce their own value. And with every boundary they uphold, their confidence deepens. This inner value is something that doesn't need to be constantly proven to others. It's not about posting the right photos, saying the right things, or pretending to be busy to seem desirable. It's a quiet knowing that you are enough exactly as you are, without needing to twist or shrink yourself to fit someone else's mold. It's refusing to lower your standards just to avoid being alone. It's choosing solitude over disrespect. It's understanding that peace is better than chaos, even if that peace is found in your own company. When someone lacks that self-value, they often overcompensate. They might become overly accommodating, always available, and constantly seeking validation. They'll go out of their way to prove they're worthy, hoping the other person will notice and return the same energy. But worth doesn't work that way. You can't force someone to see your value by giving more of yourself. You show your value by knowing when to stop giving to those who don't appreciate it. That's where the shift happens. That's when the energy changes. And that's when people start seeing you differently. The truth is, the way you see yourself sets the tone for how others see you. If you treat yourself like you're second best, people will believe that's where you belong. If you act like your time isn't valuable, others will waste it without thinking twice. But if you carry yourself with dignity and self-respect, people will either rise to meet your level or remove themselves from your space. And both outcomes are a win. Because when you truly value yourself, you're no longer afraid of losing people who don't know how to treat you. You're only afraid of losing yourself in the process of trying to keep them. There's something powerful about not needing to convince anyone of your worth. It means you can be fully present, open, and authentic without the fear of being discarded. It means you stop living in reaction to someone else's attention and start living in alignment with your own values. You choose what feels good to your soul instead of what feels good in the moment. You no longer accept crumbs and call it love. You no longer confuse consistency with availability. You stop romanticizing potential and start paying attention to reality. All of this begins with the decision to treat yourself like you matter. It's a daily choice. It's in the way you speak to yourself, the way you take care of your body, the people you surround yourself with, and the standards you hold, even when it's uncomfortable. It's choosing not to reply to that message that comes after days of silence. It's not accepting the last-minute plan that makes you feel like an afterthought. It's declining the invitation that feels like settling. These aren't just actions, they are affirmations. Every time you say no to what doesn't align, you are saying yes to yourself. The irony is, when you operate from this place of self-worth, you don't push people away, you attract the right ones closer. Because people are drawn to certainty. They are drawn to those who know who they are and what they deserve. That clarity becomes magnetic. It creates a space for real connection, not just temporary attention. It tells the world, I am not here to audition for love. I am here to experience it deeply and mutually. And that mindset shifts everything. This way of living isn't always easy. It can feel lonely at times, especially in a world that often celebrates superficial connections. But it's worth it, because nothing is lonelier than being surrounded by people who don't really see you, understand you, or value you. When you value yourself first, you create room for the kind of relationships that actually matter, the ones built on mutual respect, shared values, and emotional safety. And you learn to be okay on your own until that shows up. There is nothing more powerful than someone who doesn't settle, someone who chooses depth over distraction, someone who would rather wait than chase. That kind of energy isn't desperate, it's discerning. And discernment is what separates being chosen from being used. It's what separates being a priority from being an option. And it all starts with how you see yourself. Boundaries are not just about saying no. They are about knowing your worth deeply enough to protect it. They are the invisible lines that teach others how to treat you. When those lines are blurred or non-existent, confusion sets in, not just for others, but for yourself. You begin to question your standards, tolerate behavior that makes you feel small, and accept less than what you truly want, because you've convinced yourself it's better than nothing. But when you establish boundaries rooted in self-respect, you send a clear message. I am not available for anything that costs me my peace, my dignity, or my self-worth. Most people don't end up as options overnight. It happens gradually, with small compromises that add up over time. You agree to plans that come too late. You ignore red flags because you don't want to seem difficult. You keep giving second chances to someone who never earned the first. And each time, your silence gives permission. Your tolerance becomes acceptance. Eventually, your presence becomes expected instead of appreciated. You go from being someone's excitement to their convenience. And the truth is, people rarely rise above the standards you set. They meet them or they don't. Setting boundaries isn't about pushing people away. It's about deciding what kind of energy you're willing to allow into your life. It's about refusing to be accessible to those who only reach out when it's easy or when they need something. A boundary says, I don't accept inconsistent behavior. A boundary says, my time matters and so does my heart. It's not a punishment, it's clarity. And clarity is power. The clearer you are with yourself, the easier it is to make decisions that align with your self-worth instead of your temporary emotions. There's a difference between being kind and being permissive. Kindness means showing compassion, empathy, and understanding. Permissiveness means letting people cross lines because you're afraid of conflict or abandonment. The world often confuses the two. You're told to be accommodating, to avoid confrontation, to go with the flow. But when that flow leads to places that drain you, you have to choose yourself. That choice might feel uncomfortable at first. You may worry about being seen as cold, selfish, or too much. But there is nothing selfish about honoring what makes you feel safe, valued, and respected. People often test boundaries, not always intentionally, but it happens. They want to see what they can get away with. They want to see if your standards are firm or flexible. And how you respond tells them everything. If someone consistently shows up late, makes plans last minute, or disappears for days without explanation, and you continue to engage, you're sending a message that their behavior is acceptable. If you voice a boundary but continue allowing the same behavior, your words lose their weight. Boundaries only work when they are followed by consistent action. One of the hardest things to do is uphold a boundary with someone you care about. Emotions can blur judgment. Attachment can silence your instincts. But if keeping someone in your life requires you to betray yourself, it's not love, it's dependency. And that dependency will cost you more than you're willing to admit. It will cost you your self-esteem. It will cost you your clarity. It will cost you the peace that comes with knowing you're being treated the way you deserve. People respect what you respect. If you don't protect your time, others will waste it. If you don't value your emotional energy, others will drain it. And if you don't set limits, others will push past every unspoken rule you thought they understood. Clear boundaries remove confusion. They simplify life. You stop overthinking texts, second-guessing interactions, and wondering where you stand. You know where you stand because you chose where to stand. And if someone doesn't stand with you, they fall away. Not out of spite, but out of alignment. A powerful part of boundaries is that they filter. They don't just keep the wrong people out, they make space for the right ones. The ones who don't feel threatened by your standards. The ones who step up instead of stepping away. The ones who see your value and don't want to risk losing it. When you protect your energy, you attract people who match it. When you demand consistency, you attract people who deliver it. When you choose respect over attention, you attract people who respect you even when you're not watching. Boundaries also free you from guilt. So many stay silent because they don't want to hurt others. They don't want to seem too demanding. But there is a difference between hurting someone and disappointing them. You are not responsible for someone else's reaction to your boundaries. Your job is not to manage their emotions, it's to manage your own well-being. If saying no makes someone uncomfortable, that's theirs to process. If asking for space makes someone upset, that's not a reason to retract the boundary. It's a reason to uphold it. Every time you enforce a boundary, you are choosing growth over comfort. You are choosing self-respect over validation. You are saying, I trust myself enough to walk away from what doesn't align, even if it's familiar. Familiar isn't always healthy. Just because you've grown used to a pattern doesn't mean it's good for you. Boundaries break patterns. They interrupt cycles. They force you and others to rise into something better. Boundaries require consistency. You can't set them once and hope everything changes. You have to enforce them every day, in big moments and small ones. That means not replying to that message when you said you needed space. That means not going on that date when it was planned without consideration for your time. That means not explaining yourself over and over to someone who's not listening. Consistency is what gives your boundaries credibility. Without it, boundaries become suggestions. With it, they become standards. There's a kind of peace that comes when you finally understand you don't need to tolerate confusion. You don't need to chase clarity. You don't need to earn someone's effort. You just need to decide what you're no longer willing to accept and stand by it, even when it's hard. That peace is worth protecting. That peace is worth losing temporary comfort for. That peace is where self-worth lives. Boundaries allow you to show up in relationships without losing yourself. They let you love deeply without tolerating disrespect. They give you the ability to be open without being available to those who can't honor your heart. They protect your time, your energy, and your emotional space. And in a world that often tries to take from you without giving in return, protecting those things isn't just wise, it's essential. There's something undeniably powerful about a person who builds a life that feels full without needing anyone else to complete it. That power doesn't come from perfection or having everything figured out. It comes from presence, being so deeply grounded in your own purpose, your own joy, and your own peace that no one becomes your entire world because you've already created one you love living in. So when your happiness isn't hanging on someone else's actions or attention, you reclaim a kind of emotional freedom that many never experience. It's easy to get caught up in the narrative that being chosen by someone is the ultimate validation, that being the object of someone else's affection somehow confirms your worth. But when your sense of value is attached to another person, it becomes fragile. You start to mold yourself around their moods, their schedules, their willingness to show up. You begin to adjust your identity based on whether or not they notice you. That's a dangerous place to live because it leaves you constantly in waiting to be seen, to be loved, to be enough. But when you start pouring into your own life, the energy changes. You begin waking up with purpose that has nothing to do with who's texting you back. You start investing in your growth, your goals, and your experiences. You stop needing someone to fill the silence because the silence becomes peaceful, not empty. You don't need someone to make your life exciting because you've found ways to excite yourself. You don't wait for someone else to make plans, you make them for yourself. This doesn't mean you don't want love, connection, or partnership. It means you're not waiting for someone else to give you permission to enjoy your life. Living a full life means being deeply connected to who you are outside of anyone's opinion of you. It's knowing what makes you laugh, what inspires you, what keeps you up at night in a good way. It's having routines that nourish your body and spaces that calm your mind. It's surrounding yourself with people who pour into you, not just take from you. It's creating standards for how you want to be treated and actually living by them, not lowering them because you're afraid of being alone. And most of all, it's about owning the truth that your life isn't on hold while you wait to be loved. It's happening right now. One of the most magnetic things in the world is someone who doesn't need attention to feel valuable. That kind of presence is felt immediately. It doesn't ask for approval. It doesn't chase after validation. It simply is. And because it's so rare, people are drawn to it. Not because it's playing a game, but because it carries certainty. That certainty is born from experience, choosing yourself again and again, especially in moments when it would have been easier to settle for less. Building a full life also means making peace with solitude, not in a lonely way, but in a way that helps you return to yourself. When you become comfortable in your own company, you become more selective with who you allow in. You stop entertaining people who can't meet you with the same depth. You stop engaging in situationships that drain you. You no longer need to be rescued from your own boredom or insecurity. You've learned how to sit with yourself, and in doing so, you've built resilience. That resilience becomes your foundation. It steadies you through uncertainty, through heartbreak, through transitions. There's a difference between needing someone and wanting someone. When you need them to feel whole, you give away your power. You tolerate behaviors that don't align. You accept crumbs and call it connection. But when you want someone from a place of wholeness, the dynamic changes. The dynamic changes. You don't settle, you don't chase, and you don't beg. You invite, you allow, you open space for something real. Not because you're incomplete, but because you have so much to share. That shift changes the entire way you approach relationships. It removes pressure and creates authenticity. When your life is already full, you won't be easily impressed by someone's potential. You'll look for alignment, not charm. You'll look for consistency, not intensity. You'll see red flags clearly instead of brushing them aside in the name of chemistry. You'll protect your peace because you know what it took to build it. And you'll never again let someone become the center of your world because you've already learned how to be your own center. That's not independence, it's emotional maturity. Having a full life also means you recover faster when things fall apart. Disappointment doesn't destroy you. Rejection doesn't define you. You don't spiral into self-doubt every time something doesn't work out because you know your value isn't tied to any single moment or person. You might hurt, of course. You're human. But you know how to return to yourself. You have anchors. You have purpose. You have people. You have practices that ground you. That foundation makes you stronger, calmer, and more discerning. People often think that building a full life means giving up on love. It doesn't. It means raising the bar for love. It means waiting for someone who adds to what you've already built, not someone who becomes your reason for building at all. Love should be a bonus, not the base. It should be the thing that enhances your already beautiful life, not the thing that saves you from it. When you reach that place, you're no longer in relationships to feel complete. You're in them to connect, to grow, to share, and to elevate. Creating a full life is an act of rebellion in a world that tells you happiness comes from outside of you. It's about reclaiming your attention, your time, and your energy. It's about finding fulfillment in your own evolution. It's about building a reality that reflects who you truly are, not who you think you need to be loved. And when you do that, you stop being an option by default. You become a priority by design. Because anyone who enters your world sees the life you've created and knows they are not here to complete you. They are here to complement something already whole.